friends, I'm Nadine Brandes, the author of Fox, Romanoff, and the Out of Time series, and today I wanted to talk about whether or not you should work on more than one manuscript at a time. I actually get this question a lot, and let me start off by saying it's not wrong. There are just a lot of things that could hurt you if you do that, but they're avoidable. Up until now, I have only ever worked on one book at a time. Usually because I'm on deadline and I don't have time to flip between projects. But also because my brain seems to work better when I'm just focusing on one story world and pouring everything into that. But I totally understand if you're halfway through a manuscript, suddenly you get inspired for this other story and you want to go and write it. And so you want to set your book aside and go work on the new one. Well, then guess what happens? You lose all of the momentum for the book that you were working on as you go to the new book. And then what if you get halfway through that book and you're inspired to start another story? And you see how this cycle can then end up with a giant stack of half-finished books and a whole bunch of exciting ideas that you never get to finish. So the biggest risk that you pose if you're working on more than one project at a time is never finishing something. And the biggest hurdle that you have to overcome as a new writer is to finish a draft. It's really hard. My first manuscript took me 7 years to finish. But once you finish a manuscript, that frees you to grow as a writer by learning how to edit that manuscript and tighten that manuscript. You grow so many ways once you have finished something. You've had to push yourself through it. And if you're wanting to write for publication, you have to push yourself through to finish a draft of a book, because that's what you're going to have to do for a publisher, or even if you're self-publishing, for your readers. They expect books to come out in a realistic amount of time. So it's not bad to work on multiple projects at once, but if you find yourself not finishing a manuscript at all over a long period of time, maybe you should just focus on one manuscript. It's also really helpful for you to make yourself push through a manuscript when you're not inspired, because that's what you have to do when you're on deadline with a publisher. So it could make things harder for yourself, but maybe that's just how your brain works and you want to work on multiple projects at the same time. Right now, I am working on 3 different stories at the same time because I have the freedom to do that because I'm not currently under deadline and I am still figuring out which book I want to write next. I also think that it helps me chip away at them a little faster because as each one grows in word count, eventually, hopefully, I'll finish all 3 of them roughly around the same time, and then voila, I will have all of these drafts that I can send to my publishers. So the answer in a nutshell is no, it's not bad to work on multiple projects at a time, but you have to be very aware of your tendencies to either ditch projects and work on the next new bright shiny thing, or your tendencies to lose momentum for old projects and understand that that might make it harder for yourself. Or if you thrive off of the excitement of jumping from story to story, maybe that helps you write better. The key is to know your writing tendencies, to know your writing habits, and to understand yourself as a writer and your strengths and your weaknesses and go from there. No matter which way you choose, happy writing. If you're a writer, let me know down in the comments, do you work on multiple projects at once or do you tend to stick to just one book? And in the same vein, as a reader, do you tend to read multiple books at the same time or do you just read one book and then move on to the next? I would love to know. If you want to keep up on my videos where I talk writing, publishing, and all of the bookish things, please click subscribe or the little bell icon that gives you an email alert every time I post a new video. So with that, tally ho!